Greetings and salutations, my fellow Lars players. Today, I'll be sharing with you all how Lars should be optimally played near the wall and the moves you should be using with him. Let's begin. Lars has some pretty insane range, and unlike someone like Claudio who'd prefer to be right up next to you and apply his 50-50s with his hit confirmable wall splats, Lars has the ability to play his wall game from far away. His sweet spot is around range 3, but it can also be effective even at range 4. Dynamic entry 1-2 can be used from range 4 to get you in within literally an instant. When someone's back is to the wall, they most likely want to get out of there. They want to sidestep perhaps. If you see them trying to sidestep or sidewalk away from the wall, Dynamic Entry 1-2 will realign and splat them for a wall combo. So from range 3 to 4, where a majority of the moves in this game cannot reach, Lars can threaten with a wall splat and instantly strike whenever he sniffs out impatience. Be careful, because this move doesn't jail and you can get launched if the opponent crouches the second hit. Don't abuse it. Thankfully, since this move is fast, it doesn't always get crouched under if used sparingly. You should also just be doing the first hit alone because it's really good by itself. It's -1 and you can begin offense from it. It's not bad. +7 or something on hit. Amazing move. So a single dynamic entry is also just good in general. Back 3-4 is the next move I'd like to mention. It allows you to play the same ranged wall game as dynamic entry 1+2, but you can only be just outside of range 3 for this move to connect, which is still massive reach. Since this move can be easily accessed from a backdash due to the back command, and it's a mid, and it also doesn't require entering your stance, this should be your go-to move for whiff punishing near the wall. At higher levels, the second hit of this move often gets crouched under, so use this with caution if you're not certain of your whiff punish. Back 1+2 is your best friend near the wall because it covers so many options and it's relatively low risk despite its many attributes. If you discover your opponent is playing intelligently and doesn't whiff moves from range 3, you may need to go in there and pressure a bit. This move has the potential to avoid highs, mids, and it also is a homing move for people who try to leave the wall. Here's a scenario against Kazuya where back 1+2 shines. If you're pressuring with jabs and down forward ones near the wall, Kazuya will annihilate you if you get too happy with down forward ones. And Kazuya can also knock you down with 1-1-2 if you try to challenge him at -1 with anything that doesn't high crush, allowing Kazuya to begin steamrolling you with the Mishima Vortex. But after a down forward 1, you can use back 1+2 to dodge jabs and Kazuya's down forward 2 while also catching sidestep. All this can be done with a decent read. It is -11 though, so be careful. To round off any solid wall game, you need a low risk mid that wall splats. Forward 1+2 is your go-to move for that. You have to play a little closer than range 3 to utilize this move. Depending on your opponent's character and their playstyle, you should tailor your wall game to be more suffocating if they have a more conservative turtle-based playstyle. Toss out more double hell sweeps and full crouched down for 1+2s. But if they're on the more aggressive side, keep your distance and let them hang themselves and utilize your long range whiff punishment tools or your block punishment tools. Quick note, 4-2-4 is one of the best 12 frame punishers in this game. Never let a wake up 4 go unpunished near the wall. That's practically a Lars sin. Now we'll be discussing Lars's wall bounces, which he has 2 of. First, we'll start with Dynamic Entry 3, which is useful in neutral and especially in wake up situations. Every time you get a combo or you knock down an enemy, you could almost always get an uninterruptible Dynamic Entry 2. Once you've conditioned your opponent to get up immediately, you can start applying Dynamic Entry 3 on Wake Up, which is plus 6 on block, and leaves the enemy close in Season 4, allowing for a safe, uninterruptible counter hit wall splat with back plus 1 if they press anything. Well, except for Yoshi or Akuma or something, whatever. Or, if you've made them fear your lows on Wake Up, the Dynamic Entry 3 will hit on its own for a juicy wall bounce. I have an entire guide on applying Lars's Oki. I'll leave a link on the screen. That guide will give you a better idea on how to apply Dynamic Entry 3. The next wall bounce move is Silent Entry 1. And unfortunately, just like Dynamic Entry 3, it's tied to a stance, as well as being minus 10 on block. However, a number of characters with the shorter jab ranges are just outside of the range to punish this move, if their back isn't directly on the wall. In close wall situations, the pushback is less than open ground, allowing pretty much all jabs to connect. The best way to use this tool is for mix-ups from silent entry transitions. Dynamic Entry 1 into silent entry, 4-2-1 into an occasional silent entry, while standing 2 into silent entry, forward 1-2 into silent entry, back 3 into silent entry. You just need to know your opponent's tendencies and understand when to use this stance to actually, start applying this silent entry 1 mix up. You shouldn't just be, doing it off rip. You have to wait and kind of set it up and understand your opponent's tendencies. A side note, if your opponent can consistently punish silent entry 1, use silent entry 3+4 if you're near the wall. It's a good alternative because it wall splats and it's completely safe on block at minus 6. Another aspect of being dominant at the wall is by never really having your back against the wall. Lars is running 2+4 or Dynamic Entry 1+3 switches sides on break. So when your back is against the wall, this move is excellent for reversing your position, even if the opponent breaks it. And if they don't break it and you hit the grab, you can just start sidestepping because it leads to a knockdown and you can reverse the position in that way. Lars can also use his superb acrobatic skills and jump over his opponent in a very unique way. Use up forward 3+4 to jump over your opponent and reverse the wall situation. If you hold the input, it transitions to an extremely easily broken grab, but it honestly sometimes catches people off guard on occasion. You're slightly more vulnerable if you miss the grab version, as you can see here. If you don't do the grab version and don't hold the input, Lars turns around after the flip, facing the opponent, increasing his recovery time. This is important to note because if you're facing against really good characters with back turn stances, not recovering fast enough can potentially hurt you. With these two tools, Lars never has to be worried about being cornered at the wall. So remember the grab and remember the flip. Another move to never forget, but is often neglected, is back, back, up, back. The wall attack. Lars's wall attack will beat most grabs. It will beat lows because he's in jumping state. And there's also frames within this move that will dodge mids and highs because Lars ships his entire body into the wall before he jumps off of it and attacks. So it's pretty good. And it's a jumping attack that leaves you at -1 to +1, allowing you to easily step or even start your offense if blocked. A very valuable and unpredictable tool. And that about wraps up all the essential tools you should be using with Lars at the wall. Hopefully you all learned something of use. If you enjoyed the video, please like, it always helps out, and subscribe for more Lars content and more Tekken content in general. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.